All right. Welcome to the Learning Series. This is Learning Series Volume 3. My name is Chad Kleefoth. I'm a digital learning consultant for the Department of Public Instruction, and I'm joined today by Mike Patterson, who is our Wisconsin Google for Education guru. Sometimes I refer to you as my partner in crime, but I'm excited for you to be here with us today and to be able to share some really cool things happening around the online safety, digital citizenship, social and emotional learning. Huge topics in school districts right now, and in Wisconsin, it is our Keeping Kids Safe Online Month, which really fits in with this topic, and so we're super excited to be able to feature this for the month of October.
Absolutely, and excited as well to be back here. And if you want to join in on the conversation, we encourage you to continue to tweet out. There's a couple hashtags there at the bottom, as Chad mentioned. You know what's going on in Wisconsin, but also this is part of a larger national month focusing on digital safety and online safety. So we are your dynamic duo, the facilitators for today. There's our contact info. As Chad mentioned, I am the go-to Googler for the great state of Wisconsin. And we serve in a partnership that's meant to benefit you and your learning communities. As Chad mentioned in Volume 3 today, we'll stay with our typical format that's proven productive over the last couple of volumes. So I'm going to share some hot off the press updates, what's new at Google for EDU, as well as diving in to the theme of this month, which is keeping kids safe online. We'll end with a little bit of Q&A and wrap up. For those of you that are familiar with the tool that we're broadcasting from today, there is a chat function that you can send messages and questions in as we're going through. So let's dive in. All right, starting in what's new at Google for EDU. So as I mentioned, we've got some hot off the press news, but I'm going to delay that just a little bit longer for a friendly public service announcement. For those of you that have never, or maybe have considered, but never clicked send on giving feedback to our Google for Education team, wanted to let you know that the current state of Google for Education and future state is owed largely to the schools and students that we serve. We are constantly leveraging your feedback in order to improve our Chromebooks, Chrome operating system, as well as G Suite. And as someone that was once a beta tester of Classroom, I can tell you that there are live humans on the other end of your feedback. So please continue to give that. That's the only way, just like you as educators, we get better is if feedback is provided to us. So let's get into the breaking news. Really exciting stuff happening. First is Google Forms. For those of you that are avid Forms users, you should have noticed, opening it up if you used it today, that there is a fresh new look. The entire user experience is meant to be just a little bit easier. It's also an increase in consistency in design with what you've seen happen in Classroom and as Docs. So those of you clamoring to get into Forms, it will still be there after we're done today. Next thing in Google Slides, this has been a fantastic addition and yet another example of what happens when education provides a voice to Google. So we announced a few months ago adding closed captions into the bottom of Google Slides as a part of our continued increase in awareness around the different types of tools to make learning accessible for all learners. We have made the change and you've asked for it and you've got it. Now you have options to move the closed captions to either the top or the bottom of the screen and also change the text size. So please, please, please get excited about running that in your learning spaces using Google Slides. All right, so next announcement here is this actually came out last week, the Getting Started with Google for Education. So for those of you that are familiar with using our Teacher Center, formerly known as the Training Center, we've launched this Getting Started with Google for Education series. It's an 8-week email series that is meant to engage you and your fellow educators on a little bit of a different level, utilizing the power of G Suite. And so we send video-based tutorials. We have lessons. They take less than 15 minutes to complete. So if nothing else, it's a refresher on all the updates that are coming. So please, if that's something of interest to you, you can register right on our Teacher Center page and get started with that content. All right, just wanted to give kind of a preview of what it looks like here. You can see this is a lesson built for Google Drive, our go-to for all sorts of content when we're using G Suite in schools. So you can see here over on the left-hand side are the types of topics that you would be guided through, content where we're highlighting things over. And then you'll also notice at the bottom a little bit of a test your knowledge to see if you've retained, similar to how we gauge our students' level of understanding of our content in the classrooms. Same here, is just making sure that your time has been spent wisely. Some new announcements in G Suite. Word count for all of you that have been asking for this. We have added word count as another tool within Docs. For those of you that are super interested in reading more about this exciting announcement, you can see a short link right here. For all announcements, once they go live, it is public. There are articles that are dedicated. You can find those on our Google for Education site, as well as if you subscribe to the What's New with Google newsletter, that's something available to you as well. All right, moving on here, also in Docs. Again, you heard me mention this earlier, helping all types of learners. We've added a new font, which is called LexEnd. And as you can see here, there's different formats of the LexEnd to make content more consumable, easier to read for those who are partaking in content and utilizing these tools. Some classroom announcements. If you didn't celebrate or rush out to buy a cake yet for Classroom's 5th birthday, don't worry, there's plenty of people who did. Celebrating 5 years, and it's been crazy that it's already been that long. Classroom's over 40 million users in less than 5 years. It's being now used in over 230 countries across the globe. And most recently, and some of the coolest stuff that's been happening, has now over 60 apps and integrations that work directly with Classroom. So I encourage you to check out that birthday announcement, not only celebrating the great start to the life of Classroom, but also making sure that you're aware of all the good things that you can do with that with your students. Rubrics on mobile devices. So our last time together, I did announce that Rubrics was alive and in beta for you to be able to use. It is now slowly rolling out in Android and iOS so that your students will be able to interact with the rubrics. You as a mobile teacher will also be able to go in and interact using the rubrics tool from your mobile devices. Chromebooks, couple announcements here, and Chrome OS. The new update of Chrome, if it hasn't rolled out yet, be looking for this soon. Increased efforts in removing ads for all Google for Education, especially within the browser, blocking other pop-ups as we continue to make sure that you have the most streamlined experience possible. Also, the new update comes with better tab management. For those of you that haven't right-clicked and grouped a tab or pinned a tab yet, your life will be forever altered. The Omnibox, or the search box, as most of us know it as, has gotten smarter and has gotten faster. As you can see here, you don't even need to go to a page in certain circumstances to get an answer to questions. So you'll see the power of machine learning and AI in the background here, coupled with the power of Google search, really bringing answers to you and your students that much faster. Jamboard, things continue to happen here, especially with the app, which hopefully by this point all of you know is free, is part of the core G Suite. We're getting more ways to engage students with jams, now having functionality integrated with Stylus or Styli, given the fact that Chromebooks produced this year and beyond will all have EMR stylus technology capabilities, as long as they are a touchscreen. So we'll see new redesigned mobile and tablet apps for Jamboard should have come out and been rolling out to learning communities across Wisconsin. There's a lot of good things happening on this slide in particular. There's some apps and content that have been updated for back to school. Those of you that use Epic or CK12 or Dogo Media, a lot of good things happening there. If you're users, please feel free to check that out. We've also seen new integrations into Chromebooks particularly, as well as into G Suite with Captive Voice, Text Help. Our partnership with Don Johnston continues to grow, as well as Beelines for those of you using those extensions. And as you can see in the top right-hand corner, new ways to connect and collaborate using apps and tools such as Remind, Kami, and Nearpod. All right, moving last but not least, programs and teacher PD. This month, in particular, in September, we announced Google for Education transformation reports. They just went live to districts here in the last week. So for your district leadership teams that you know we're looking at these, or if you are a district leader tuning in live or viewing this post today's learning series, that report is available and should be available to you. There will be other opportunities to partake. Just a reminder that this is meant to be a 360 view of not only the utilization of G Suite in your district, but also are you checking the boxes with our friends, the 4Cs. As you can see highlighted here, we tie a correlation to the use of those tools to each of the 4Cs, helping you measure progress over time from a beginning to the school year to the next. So as you can see here, if you're interested in learning more, there's a bit.ly link heading to Education Transformation Reports. You can also find those on the Google for Education website. So hopefully we can get you participating in round 2. All right, enough of me talking your way. I'm going to pass it over to my friend Chad, and he's going to kick us off in today's theme, or Volume 3's theme in October, which is keeping kids safe online.
And thank you for that. Hey, is it too late to turn on the script on the bottom there, buddy?
You got it.
I apologize. I forgot to ask you in the beginning. So again, thanks to Mike for those updates. There's a lot of great things that are coming out of Google that really support a lot of the initiatives and things happening in districts across the state of Wisconsin. And so we definitely welcome those updates and look for that support as we are looking to really expand what's happening in classrooms and make that learning experience even better. So this theme for Volume 3 definitely was not on accident. It is Keeping Kids Safe Online, a month in Wisconsin, and we are using this to kind of focus around digital citizenship, online safety, social and emotional learning, a lot of the big initiatives that districts are focusing on. And so we're super excited because our Wisconsin State Superintendent, Dr. Carolyn Stanford Taylor, created a proclamation proclaiming this month as Keeping Kids Safe Online Month. So super awesome, great way to kick off the month and really support the amazing things that are happening around the state based on this topic. Next slide, please. So if we're thinking about the topic for this month in online safety and digital citizenship, why is it so important? A couple things. Technology is a huge part of what we do. Technology is in our hands almost every hour of every day, from when you wake up in the morning and my alarm clock, which is really my cell phone going off, to going to school or to work, and we're working on computers, integrating that into really extending the learning in the classroom, to in the evening when we're home and winding down and checking social media and reaching out to our family and friends. And it's crazy. We live in this always on society and we live technology. So thinking about all of the connectedness that we have, we realize that these these topics are so important. We need to be modeling and teaching this not only in our classrooms, but if you think uh, outside, when the kids leave the classroom, teachers can teach this stuff until they're blue in the face. But if it's not being modeled in the home as well, we really lose out. Next slide. So these topics of online safety, digital citizenship connect to the Wisconsin Digital Learning Plan, which is really a roadmap for districts and their strategic planning. And so we connect really in two main spots. One is the data privacy, when we talk about securing our students and making sure that they are using safe third-party apps, as well as when we are integrating this, that the modeling comes into our classrooms, and so then that focuses in on the instruction, learning, and assessment part of that digital learning plan. So, number one cause of data breaches, if you were to guess and raise your hand, we don't have time to do that, and it's not necessarily the interactive piece going on, but the number one cause of data breaches is human error. You're going to give away more information than people are going to dive in and grab, whether it's through phishing schemes or skimming, signing up for new apps. We all know that teacher that gets excited about bringing technology into their classroom and runs to you as an administrator or a coach or as a colleague and says, "Hey, I just found this new app. It's amazing, and all I had to do was give them all my kids' data." Well, that's a huge problem. It's very, very scary. So, you know, same with parents. We talk about having that connection with parent groups outside of schools. Parents will give away more information than schools ever will. And so, based on information from our Wisconsin Digital Learning Survey, we aren't doing the best job of providing training for our staff. And so we really need to find ways in which we can bring this into not only our classrooms, but model it in our PD for teachers as well. The topics of online safety and digital citizenship are really fundamental in a lot of the things we do. I already had mentioned the Wisconsin Digital Learning Plan. Our information and technology literacy standards allow for us to bring these into, it is one of the content strands that exists within the ITL standards, and focuses in specifically on being a digital citizen and being a digital leader. But also, if we think about the initiatives we have in our school districts, social emotional learning is huge, and the connection between social emotional learning and online safety or digital citizenship it's so easy to make that connection when we think about social emotional learning being that empathy and compassion and really understanding how your decisions are affecting other people, and not always making the connection that when you're using digital resources that there's somebody on that other side. So tying the two together really is easy, and there's a ton of resources on our website that I'm going to get into here in a little bit, but they really align these topics together so that it doesn't become one more thing, so that as you are looking at ITL standards and bringing them into your content area, or bringing the social emotional learning competencies into your district, we really want you to be able to focus on one, and as you're doing one, you're actually also doing the other because they're side by side aligned. Very exciting. Your curricular integration, we've got it into our PBIS programs. Any really good one-to-one program should have a focus on digital citizenship and practicing online safety as one of its components. So really, really important stuff. And obviously community engagement strategies. How are we getting not only our local communities, but our parents involved in this as well? There's a big shift right now in districts, and as you are having these conversations and you're looking at going one-to-one, if you're not, or you're looking at bringing in social emotional learning competencies, or you're integrating ITL standards, there's a shift from our kind of old way of thinking of the acceptable use policy, which is kind of like a list of what your students and teachers and admin can't do, to more of an expectation. What are the things that we're expecting you to do? What are the things you should do? How should you be acting while you're using and navigating digital tools? So it has that natural connection to digital citizenship. Um, Really, the responsible use brings in that input from all of your stakeholders and what's important while you're navigating these, and really encourages all stakeholders, all users of technology within your district, to take ownership of that use in order to demonstrate and use it effectively. So we have created, my hope is many of you have been to this site. If not, please take some time. It is a combination of work, a partnership that we created with the Department of Justice to highlight some of the amazing resources that exist out there. We wanted to cut down the time it takes to locate and vet resources, find ways to integrate them into classrooms. We really want this to be happening as a true integration in all content areas. And so we wanted to do that upfront work. And this website focuses on a curation of content from not only Google, but also companies like ISTE, Common Sense Media, NetSmarts, a lot of really great things that are happening and ways you can integrate them into your courses. It is broken down. If you navigate to the homepage, it's broken down by stakeholder group on the left-hand side. If you click that one more time, Mike. By stakeholder group, by parents, by educators, by students. Each page kind of focuses, takes a little bit different view on presenting the information. Parents is a little bit more informative, looked at really just providing the information and how they can be involved. Educators is a little bit more active approach in that we provide ways in which they can incorporate these things into their classrooms, use them tomorrow. See samples of lesson plans, actual integration of these things, and give them an opportunity to visualize it in their own classrooms. As a coach in the past myself, I've realized that they're not always comfortable with me coming in, and I completely understand that, having also been a teacher. But when they see their colleagues doing some of these things, they can really internalize that a little bit easier and picture themselves doing some of these things. And so we really wanted to put some of that in there as well. And for students, we take a little bit different approach, and it's more interactive and engaged, giving them an opportunity to dive into some of this learning through game-based learning. And Mike's going to talk a little bit about this a little bit later in some of the great things that they have. But, you know, really, if you look at the research, it shows that if kids are involved and engaged in their learning, then it becomes more meaningful and it lasts longer. So when I talked about the parents page, it is really takes an informative approach. As a parent myself, and having talked with a lot of parents, I understand that a lot of this starts with a conversation. It's not always easy to know what your kids are doing and where they're doing it, but if we can just have that conversation, we can find out a lot. And conversations aren't always as easy as we think they could be with our kids. And so we are looking at ways in which we can start that, and it actually led to our first project with the Department of Justice, second project, I guess, and it is an interactive parent module. Next slide, please. And it's called Interact. Interact is really a three-part module made specifically to have conversations, provide parents with some information, and thirdly, really give them an opportunity to create a family media plan for their family situation. So the first part is parents or guardians sitting down and going through an interactive experience, exploring some resources, looking at some different scenarios and interactively navigating step one. And then step two, they sit down with their child and do some similar things. They watch some videos and answer some questions, and then start looking at building a family media plan. What would a family media plan look like for you? And how could you actually leverage that to really be better at the understanding and what is acceptable in your home situation? The American Academy for Pediatrics, there is a link to that on the previous website, or on the previous slide, but is a great place to start. They have a very interactive family media plan builder that allows you to create a family media plan for your specific situation based on your number of children, based on their ages and the use. It's really, really a meaningful program. I've gone through and filled one out for my kids, and it's really incredible. So a great place to start. Districts have been leveraging this Interact module in a number of different ways. In family engagement nights, they've been inviting their families in, parents and children, to talk a little bit about the importance of these topics, and then providing them an opportunity and giving them the access on the spot to fill out this module. Others have looked at this as being part of their one-to-one initiatives and had parents and guardians sit down with their children and fill this out, and it's sort of a acknowledgement to get your one-to-one device. So a lot of great ideas out there, but really it's focused on providing that information and getting them engaged so that it becomes part of our culture, what we do in and out of schools. My apologies, it is on this slide. It's the next one, but this is the American Academy of Pediatrics. This is the direct website, and you'll have a copy of these slides from the archived website. So October being Keeping Kids Safe Online, we wanted to make it easy to access some of this and really make it as easy as we possibly could to integrate it into what it is that's happening in schools across the state. So there is a tab on the left-hand side in the menu that is Keeping Kids Safe Online Month, and it will take you to this site, and this part of the site is our lesson planning matrix. So there's a lot of really good information on that website that I provided earlier, but it's not always easy to know where to start. And so what we wanted to do is break it down into more digestible chunks and give you an opportunity to make connections to specific areas and the resources that exist within those areas. And so this is kind of how we do it. So we broke down each week of October, provided some themes that correspond with some of the pages that exist within the Internet Safety, Online Safety website, as well as links to other additional resources. And so this is the exciting part about the integration and how people can get started. And we know that it doesn't stop in October. When October is done, this doesn't go away. As I said before, we live in an always-on society. It's very, very important that this becomes a part of what we do every day. And so this can actually be drawn out. Sometimes it gets to be even the lesson planning matrix gets to be a little overwhelming. And so we've also suggested that you take each one of these weeks and use them as a month of initiatives. So take October 1st through the 4th and make it your month of November. Grab a couple of these resources and integrate them into what you're doing in your classroom. And then it doesn't become so overwhelming when trying to squeeze everything into a month, because we always have other amazing things that we're doing and blowing minds in classrooms. But it's really important to think about how we can extend this throughout the year. And that will lead us, when we're thinking about all of these incredible tools and resources, into some things that Mike has from Google. I get an opportunity to travel and share a lot of these resources, but I do it from a 30,000 foot view, and really it's sharing the website and all of these, and we don't really get to dive deep into how to leverage some of these specifically. And so that's the exciting part about what we have going on today. Mike's going to have an opportunity to um, share some of these and give you a little bit deeper look into how you can leverage them in everything that you're doing.
Cool. Thanks, Chad. So just wanted to echo what Chad said, and it's super important that, this is a year-long effort every year, and we should be talking to our kids as early as possible, starting that conversation with your kindergartners, with your preschool kids who are getting access to devices, because as you can see here, we're in the midst of the first time in history that a generation is growing up with constant access to the internet. These two stats shared in the top left and right-hand corner, 86% of kids are using the internet every week. And if you think about the last time you've been out in a public or social setting, the number of kids, students, possibly your own children that are on a device, or friends and family that have their children on devices, this is kind of a part of our social norm now. So what are we doing to proactively educate our kids to be responsible online? So one other thing to call out, especially in the theme of digital safety, is that bullying has actually been a problem we've battled for decades. But digital technologies and the influx of technology into education and into society has actually made things even trickier for us to intervene and protect our students. 28% of students recently polled said that they have personally experienced bullying. Another 71% have witnessed bullying directly, and that can be both digitally as well as in person. 0% of online conversations teachers get invited to, probably. According to the Family Online Safety Institute, educators are the most trusted source, and hopefully this is no surprise to you, to maximize benefits and minimize harms of technology for children. 84% of educators, however, feel they don't have the resources to teach digital safety and citizenship skills in schools and in classrooms. And I think that Wisconsin is a classic example of a state as an entity coming together and prioritizing this. A little known fact is that digital citizenship has actually been a federal mandate to be taught in schools since 2012. And going a little bit further on that point, schools can actually lose their E-rate funding if they are in fact audited and found to not be delivering digital citizenship related content to their students. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that Google for Education has put together, and by no means do we claim to be the only source to educate our students on what it means to be internet awesome. We also have been building content consistently to address the larger learning community as a whole, and that's for our teachers and for our parents and for those that support our students on a daily basis. We all can stand to benefit from having a conversation centered around how we can be safer and more responsible online. So our approach to this particular topic is providing tools that put schools in the driver's seat. And secondly, supporting educators and families to help their students become skilled digital citizens. So let's talk about how we do that. In the first one, for those of you that have not gone and seen our content specifically around our privacy and security practices, I think at the top of the list for a lot of us and a lot of our parents is how we are protecting the data. And when I say we, as in parents, community members, we want to know how our students' data and experiences online are being protected. So you can find an in-depth dive into what at Google for Education we're doing to protect the privacy as well as the learning experience of you and your students. So I encourage you to check that out on our Google for Education homepage. All right, specifically to digital citizenship, and I think often our focuses are centered in one place as opposed to the village or as many of you have heard me speak before, the learning community as a whole. This village mindset is meant to bring kids, parents, and teachers together to actively learn and participate in the conversation with resources that have really been tailored to all three of these in order to make for, as Chad was talking about earlier, those conversations easier. So I want to share a video from the start here of just something that kind of highlights our Be Internet Awesome curriculum to kick things off.
I couldn't imagine what the world would be like without internet today. It'd be nothing but chaos. I try to prepare him for the real world. I'm not with him 24/7, so I can't protect him all the time, can I?
Kids are inherently curious. And on the internet, there's so much knowledge and information that I need to make sure that as an educator that I'm teaching them the skills that they need to start to look out for themselves. The Be Internet Awesome program is designed to teach students in a fun way how to be safe online. You're on a web page and you see a button that says, click here and you could win $1 million. What do you think would happen? Yeah, Matt.
Get scanned.
Maybe you get scammed. Ethan.
Whenever you're on to get a virus,
What do you do if someone you don't know tries to follow you?
I block them because I have a private account.
Excellent.
We're about to journey into a place that's called Interland to learn how to be internet awesome.
Good job, player. All right. You got it.
What they do online now is something that's going to follow them for the rest of their lives. The lessons we're doing and the activities that we're doing in the classroom are making an impact. They are developing the skills that they need in order to be able to keep themselves safe online.
Looks like it'd be real.
It's great because look how internet is filled.
Then I would have got fish.
Nowadays, the internet is the way people see you. Anybody can post anything on the internet, and sometimes the things that they post are not okay. Be respectful to others. If somebody gets hurt, try to help them. If you come across something that's either inappropriate or like bullying or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, you should tell somebody. Be internet awesome.
So just wanted to share that video with you. This is something that we're pretty excited about. And as you can see, there was a lot of context that related specifically to students, but also a classic example of that mom right there at the end, that we also as adults need education as well. So starting with the mindset of approaching our students, helping kids be safe, confident explorers of the online world. We've developed the Be Internet Awesome curriculum, which you can check out at g.co/beinternetawesome. This, for us, was incredibly important, making sure that we got it right. We developed this curriculum and continue to develop this curriculum with some of the foremost experts on content specific to digital citizenship. So you can see here, I Keep Safe, Connect Safely, the Family Online Safety Institute, as well as this has been given the ISTE stamp of approval or the seal of alignment for readiness. All of our lesson plans, activities, and worksheets, in fact, align with ISTE's standards for students. So I'm just going to quickly run through the 5 fundamental lessons, again, that can be used starting as low as kindergarten grade levels to talk to your kids about. So talking to them about their digital footprint, developing their online reputation, and how to communicate responsibly, focusing on things like if it isn't right to say, it isn't right to post, and start building that narrative at an early age or as early of an age as possible. The next area is don't fall for fake. Knowing the signs of a potential scam and being discerning when consuming content. You saw in the video what students are already thinking about when they go online, if they're receiving a communication, whether it's a pop-up or something in email that says you've won $1 million, and them understanding what that could potentially mean from a security standpoint and not falling for fake. The next lesson is securing your secrets, making sure that we're teaching our students how to build and protect their personal information, and that comes from building passwords. I think all of us know one or two people that may have a password that is just that, the word password. So we want to make sure that we're teaching those proper skills to our kids so they start building that approach for all of the logins that they're going to have in their young futures. The next lesson is it's cool to be kind. Being positive online and being an upstander when others aren't. And that is creating advocates from our students to be the ones that are the force of positive, helping stop the spread of harmful or untrue messages and blocking mean-spirited or inappropriate behavior online. The last and final of kind of the 5 pillars or the 5 fundamentals is when in doubt, talk it out. If you see something you're not sure about, talk to a trusted adult. And I think in the spirit of this month in particular, this is probably one of the hardest areas for our students to feel as though they have a system of trust that typically starts with their teachers and with their parents, of someone that they can come and talk to. I do want to share another quick video here. Actually, we're going to skip this one in the interest of time. So we've talked a little bit about the kids. What are some other things specifically to the kids that we've built? And Interland is an example of that. Interland is something, and this is usually what resonates specifically with not only parents but also teachers, is that we have adventure-packed gaming that lets kids practice those fundamentals that I just overviewed. No login is needed. This is a web-based game, meaning that there is no downloading that's required. And this is fantastic for reinforcement of your students. This allows for parental co-play as well. You can observe as your student is playing the game, making sure that you're highlighting what they're learning and what they're consuming as a part of that experience. So these are the 4 lands of 4 fun learning challenges. In the top left-hand corner, there's a little bit of logic that's involved as they're given scenarios about sharing content and then transmitting that content and making sure that it's going to the appropriate parties. In the top right-hand corner in Reality River, they're given a series of scenarios that are making them learn about not falling for fake, and so how they address different scenarios and determine the right one. The Tower of Treasure is specifically aligned to building strong passwords. So as you'll notice, the character here who is guided by the student or whoever is playing the game, they are navigating to grab blocks to build a stronger password. And then in the bottom right-hand corner in the Kind Kingdom, this is actually my 2nd grade son's favorite one of the games, is making sure that you're spreading kind. And that this actually gives you the opportunity to lock up bullies and protect and provide good things to fellow Interlanders in the case of this game. So let's talk next about what we're doing for educators, making this easier, as Chad mentioned, trying to find ways to ease this content into your classrooms. First, wanted to call out for those of you that are familiar with our Applied Digital Skills. We recently launched an online safety and digital well-being curriculum that is embedded within Applied Digital Skills. So you can go to g.co/applieddigitalskills/online safety. There you will find project-based blended learning activities that allow for using the power of G Suite to get a better understanding of online safety and digital well-being. This is content, again, for those of you that aren't familiar with Applied Digital Skills, that's developed with a K through adult mindset. This is something that is applicable for all possible consumers of content. Moving next into, and from what I've come out.
Can I jump in real quick for you, buddy?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to plug that. We're going to talk about it in a volume here down the road, but the Applied Digital Skills, not only does it have these great resources, but it also is aligned with the Wisconsin Information and Technology Literacy Standards. So we'll dive into that a little bit further down the road, but you know, just another way in which Google and you know, DPI are working together to move things forward. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, really good call out, Chad. And looking forward to that learning series volume as well. One additional layer to that in our teaching center, which there's so many good things in there. I did want to point out that we do have a digital citizenship and safety course that is built just for educators. So for those of you that are feeling a little apprehensive about being able to teach this content in your class, you can see here highlighting some Pear Deck resources, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. But if you head to g.co/digital citizenship course, over on the right-hand side, we have online content that's currently in 16 languages that you can digest at your own pace. You can put your newfound knowledge to the test with five quizzes that are in there. You will have the ability to receive a community educator badge upon completion. And ultimately, this will allow you to utilize this curriculum as well, along with the other tools such as Be Internet Awesome and the Applied Digital Skills lesson. All of these are free resources brought to you by Google for Education. In addition to that, we do have both digital and physical versions of the curriculum. So you can see an image here of the guide that outlines those 5 pillars that I mentioned. Again, want to tout the fact that it is aligned with ISTE standards and that it is free for everyone. Some other things that you can find online to really help kind of encourage your students. We're in kind of that badging craze, which is great micro-credentialing in schools right now. Well, you and your students can become Internet Awesome yourselves. There's some classroom posters that you can download that really emphasize in a very clear and consistent way the ways you can be Internet smart, alert, strong, kind, and brave. Also wanted to throw out there, in addition to the Be Internet Awesome curriculum guide, Pear Deck has actually built, for those of you that are familiar with the good old-fashioned teacher resource kit, they have actually built Google slide presentations that have interactive Pear Deck lesson functionality, but would say for those of you that don't have Pear Deck yet deployed in your districts, you can actually just take that slide content and use it to present the material. So if you're looking for another way to make this a little bit easier for you to talk about this content, I encourage you to check that out. That is a free download for you. And the last thing to call out on this page as well is the badges and certificates of completion, which is available to everyone who partakes in this curriculum. You can see just a quick snapshot here. It is laid out in a lesson format, kind of a lesson plan format or a lesson overview. How in this case it's cool to be kind, activity 1, and you can see how it breaks out into different types of activities. Excuse me. Let's talk about our kind of our last part of the village or the community here, and that's our parents. We want to make sure that we're empowering parents as well. And in addition to the pledge that you can see here on the screen, we also have just released recently a family guide. Chad mentioned the opportunity for parents to use some of the resources available in Wisconsin. We have made this family guide available as well to continue to drive that conversation at home. The approach as we kind of wrap things up here is empowering kids to be safe, confident digital citizens, and that is critical for us. But this isn't something any one group can solve alone. This is something that it does, in fact, take a village. We aim to bring parents, kids, and educators together to actively learn and participate in the conversation with resources made just for them. So we'll pause here for Q&A and wrap up, Chad, with just a little bit of time left. Anything in our chat, or are we ready to call it a series today?
I don't see anything pending in the chat. If you have any last second questions, go ahead and throw them in there. Again, Mike, I want to thank you for coming in and giving us a little bit deeper dive into some of these tools. My hope really is that, you know, as you're watching and listening, you're visualizing how this can unfold into your own learning situations, or if you're a parent, how you can bring it into your own house. I think I really like that triangular piece of, you know, that whole unit with the parents, the kids, and the educators. because it is. I mean, it takes a village, and there's a lot of really important things out there, and technology is an amazing tool, and it keeps us all connected. Technology gives us all a voice, but the sad part is it gives us all a voice, and so we just have to be really cognizant of how we're leveraging technology as a tool, and really expanding the pedagogy, and you know, making it be our best friend as best we can. So I don't see any chat questions. Anything else you want to add, Mike? Oh, hang on one second. It says, where do we get a physical copy of the curriculum? Mike, are you with me? He muted himself. Let's do this. How about now?
Sorry about that. Yes, so definitely something that you can request online, and if you run into any issues with that, please reach out to Chad and I. We'll make sure that you can get access to that content as well.
Most definitely. Again, the link to the archive of the webinars is on the flyer. We are recording these, and we will continue to put them up online. If there's anything that you see in any of our webinars that you are interested in getting more information about, or getting a copy of, or anything along those lines, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. Any last words of encouragement?
No, I'd just say, you know, continue to challenge each other, and in a month like this, think about ways that, even though it means going outside of your comfort zone, it always should be about what's best for our kids, and not necessarily just what's easiest for us. Chad, another fantastic volume in the books here. Looking forward to next month. We'll give a little bit of a spoiler alert here. We're going to be inviting some of Wisconsin's very own educators to join us to talk about the power and the potential of power in your learning communities around AR and VR. So be on the lookout for an announcement from Chad, and we hope we'll see you for Volume 4 in November.
You bet. That's the exciting part. That's what I've been looking forward to. The first couple have been kind of us sharing some really good information, but yes, we will leverage the true power of this webinar to bring in some local experts from the state of Wisconsin to showcase some of the things they're doing with AR and VR in the classroom. So stay tuned. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.